Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. And spiral is not one dot, it's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger
Mhm.
and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go
Hmm.
other than inside? And
Hmm.
when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love. Sweet. All right, it's
Yee.
June 9th, 2024. And we're going through 14 Chinky. We've been doing this for 6 months, by the way, and we we
I
thought
know.
we'll either
I was thinking about, I'm like, we have to go through 64 at this pace. It's gonna be 2 years.
yeah, I mean, we signed up for a minimum a year, 2 year and a half. But yeah, this life just gets in the way. And every time when I come back to it, oh gosh, do I feel so refreshed. I there's this feeling of just expansion by just touching this book or even reading 3 pages of one key. It's just so powerful.
Hmm. I agree. And talking with
Yeah.
you. Yeah, it's refreshing.
Yeah. And it almost like if we don't do it, something is missing. That's
Hmm.
that routine or, daily, weekly check-in, like
Yes.
accountability. There's like really a good, like, it's just powerful. And I can't even explain it, but I'm happy we're back on it. With no excuse, literally. It's like when it's next time, let's go. So good. All right. So I do have this SQ Jinky, and I highlighted before a lot of stuff, and then I had to re-highlight a lot of stuff here too. But I want you to open if you want to open the shadow, and we'll kick it in. What you
Yeah.
got?
So the shadow of compromise. And I want to ask you real quick, with 14 in your profile, do you have one as well? I forget.
A Jinky or a line?
Yeah, yeah, Jinky one.
No.
Oh, okay. Because it's the Ring of Fire is 1 and 14. Um, but this is programmed with 8, which is the gift of style, which we talked about. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the Melita right there. Okay, so um, compromise. It's an interesting gene key because I think it really is something that has become evident, easy to see in the general population of the world, um, and for different reasons. But I think someone who isn't compromised or compromising rather than knowing someone who's compromising because generally speaking, most people have compromised. Now, being in LA and Hawaii, I think we get to see more of it, but growing up in Michigan, it's just status quo. Like that's the way the world goes. You clock in for work, you send your kids to school, and you watch TV at night, and there's not much else. You're just compromising. So
Mm-hmm.
it speaks to 14 speaks to having a passionate aim or goal, and through the conditioning we receive from school, from parents, that kind of gets stamped out at a young age. And personally speaking, I was probably 7, 8, or 9, kind of in that like late elementary school into middle school when I started to compromise and kind of see the world differently. But I remember going to first grade or kindergarten, first grade, and feeling like the sense of excitement and feeling like, okay, there's challenges to complete. Like they want me to do these tasks and I can do that. and then that kind of slowly faded, and then yeah.
Mm. And it faded because you had to start compromising. You couldn't anymore be free and
Yeah.
feel your own power.
Yeah, it became evident like early on. It was kind of this feeling of like, oh, if I do, so they're telling me if I do everything correctly, then I get rewards. And it's dopamine, right? Dopamine. And so you get an A on a test, or you get 100 out of 100 on your math quiz or whatever. And then you do that for like years. And then you're like, but now the dopamine isn't a hit anymore. It's just like going through the motions and avoiding punishment. It kind of becomes more
Mm,
about avoiding punishment, staying
mm,
out of trouble, like not speaking out of turn. And then like you're not rewarded for questioning things or putting up an idea that's doesn't fit the narrative, or I mean, like a textbook. Like if I have a question on something that we're reading and it kind of pulls us into a different direction, it's not rewarded. It's not embraced. It's like stay on topic. We're here to do this thing. And then two, just the fact that you're sitting at a desk
mm.
for 8 hours and you have to wait for a bell and you have 5 minutes to run to your next class. It just kind of bashes it out of you.
It's such a programming, and that age is the most important age of our life to program accurately. But then you have parents who don't know how to program you accurately. And what is really accurate programming at all? What does that mean? You allow a kid to climb the tree and fall, or climb the
Yeah.
walls, or paint your your couch pink color because it doesn't look good if it's white, and start to express itself as and try to find its personal power. And you can do it 0 to 7. You're a parent. You tell me, is this true? And then 7, you hit the institutional educational structure, and then you start very much molding into this base concrete programming. Then later on in life you have to try to break through
Yeah.
because your power is taken away, because you live in what you like to say matrix. I've been using this word lately a lot. It's a matrix rather
Mhm.
than just a system. And to be in the system you have to follow,
Yes. Right.
and, and to follow you have to compromise, and what you compromise is your own power and your what soul,
Hmm.
your essence, your pearl, your heart, your soul, your calling, your something that it's just right here on the tip of your tongue and you can't say it because you'll get punished.
Yeah, and your enthusiasm.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
Like, and you can look at, we taught English to kids in Korea, and we would teach each week it was different. So one week we would have third graders, and the next week we might have eighth graders or whatever. And you could see like, you get your third grade group and they're like so excited, just beaming with joy and excitement and just like curious. And then you get your eighth graders and they stink with rebellion. And it's
mm,
like that's now become like the style.
mm,
And as a teacher, you have to like prevent too much rebellion. But in a way, looking back on it, I'm like, good for you.
mm,
Unfortunately, for most societies, there's not an outlet. There's not an alternative path. It's just public school.
mm.
So, yeah.
Curious, is this why you and Carly decided to go a different way? Because your kids are right there, right? They're like 6, 7 almost, right?
Our oldest is turning 5 this year.
Mm,
So, um, yeah, in a way, with this specific topic like schooling, we're getting ahead of it, and trying it out, um, and seeing how it goes. With us being business partners as well as um, life partners and parents, I do see like we're gonna need help, whether that's babysitting or a nanny or some kind of structure that exists outside of mom and dad. Potentially, there's different paths you can go down. But all this to say, I
mm,
don't think there's like, it's tempting to say like there's right and wrong, like it's wrong to put your kids in public school. I think it's different though when you frame it ahead of time and you talk through issues and you also can like provide context and supplementary activities or material on the side for kids to be able to have that sense of freedom um, if they're forced, if they have to go to school. Because some families, it's like, maybe your dad works in trades and your mom's a nurse. It's like you can't stay home as a 7-year old. So what do you do? It's with that intentionality, I think, as with everything.
I think you hit the nail in the head too with it. It's like it's almost if you know as a parent and you are aware of what potentially can happen, what is that cycle that every all of us kind of have to cycle through, you're able to adjust and give them that freedom to really just smooth their transition from the shadow to the gift, right? So rather than them being blinded by the shadow for so long and waiting for something to happen or for them to be placed in the world out there to deal with, without the school, like it's almost like, speaking of the school specifically, you can't really go out there and fight. So if I didn't have my education, even though it's worthless here because it's in a completely different language, I
Hmm.
wouldn't be where I am now. So because of that, it helped me be part of the system and get to a certain level of the system if that is what they want. But this shadow specifically talks about what we compromise for that system. It really is comes down to what your true heart wants, and that is so genuinely, softly, innocently expressed from 0 to 7. And you always come back to that later on. And you're like, what did I like really doing when I was 0 to 7? Did I like painting? Did I like talking? Did I like dreaming about the stars and going outside this earth? Did I like painting? I said that. Did I like playing anything or music or making, I don't know, building blocks and mini
Hmm.
houses for animals,
Yeah, yeah.
it always comes back down to that expression of a personal freedom. So, what does the personal freedom mean to you? What does that mean to you as 0 to 7 year old?
Um, I really like building things, but I want to be contemplative about this question because if I make an assumption, then I'm basing what we talk about off of the assumption. So behaviorally, I did use, like connect sets and Legos and that sort of thing to build. But I actually think what I enjoyed doing was, I think it's related to that, but it's more of creating because I would also write stories, and I love to read stories. So it's like the creative aspect of like what is something new that we can come up with and use the written word as a form of expansion of consciousness. Because I was writing stuff where um I wrote this one story, it was God versus Satan, and it was like giant, giant like Godzilla and whatever, like fighting in a city or and it's just I can imagine as parents like reading that being like, where did this come from? This isn't in the Bible. This isn't in something we taught you. And it's just an exploration of ideas and kind of personifying characters and yeah, being very creative. So I think if that was kind of, I mean, they encouraged me, but if it was like, if they sat beside me and kind of encouraged me that way and more so in developing that as an activity and also like not being in school, you have more time to do that stuff. Like my brain's not fried from trying to learn about the different types of rocks in 8th grade, which is cool. Like it's cool if you like it, but you're forced into topics that you don't like.
Sure.
But I would say, yeah, creative aspects. What about you?
So it was all imagination and creative something out of nothing, and really being into your own zone, into your own garden, and coming up with the stories that suited you and your creative expression.
Mhm.
I built everything with my hands. I
Yeah.
built my toys. I was hanging off freaking cables. It's everything that I found like in my house and the nature, the wood, the trees, and I just ran and I was very active and I just begged them to allow me to go and just like run a circle quickly around the block. And fast forward 40 years later, almost, I am very active and very
Mhm.
finding my own power. And every time I tap that feeling of, oh my God, I really need to express this energy out, literally clicks something in my creative brain as well. And like you said, it can come out in many forms. It can come out in music. I hear different sounds in one song and I chop them in pieces and it just like gets me a tingly, energetic like feeling in the body. The words, the art, everything, the visual, it's just like I pay attention to all these different things, which is imagination is free to explore and come up out of this boxed way of thinking and just have fun and be joyful. But all of it we have to compromise in order to get somewhere, accomplish a goal that someone else told us that we have to.
Mhm.
So when
Mhm.
things crumble down in life, which they do, and they do crumble for everybody almost in one shape or form, you lose what you attach yourself to in many forms. You can lose love people that you love, stuff that you accumulated, that you attach to, whatever that you attach. Then you realize, wait a minute, but all is left is just me, this personal me, and this essence of my ways and only my ways that are unique to me. And I can always tap back into it. I can never lose that. And you realize that when you everything else around you often crumbles, or when it just comes hard on you and it starts pouring, and I don't know, like you
Yeah.
have a sense of losing everything that was so tangible and that you can measure rather than this what you cannot measure. This is why I like this shadow, because it speaks about compromising that personal power, compromising everything that you are, the unique essence and genetics that you come here as one and only to explore. And we often don't know how to really um, get it out of us, and also, like unlayer all this trauma and work on it, or it's a life work. And it will be interesting to hear, you know, when parents parent, how do you get this out of your kid, knowing ahead of the time that this is what will actually maybe show in their life much, much later in life.
Yeah. And the way you described your 0 to 7 age period reminds me of Luca, our oldest right now. He'll
Mm.
take, he'll just, whenever he's quiet, I'll try to find him and he's taking bungees and like strapping them across the house and like hanging stuff from them. Or today he did glue sticks just on his own and glitter and made like a dragon and then took some like t-shirt material and threaded it into it with mom's help. And then just he's like always just like so busy with his hands and creating stuff. And I wanted to ask you, do you feel like now there's parallels in the work that you do with being super active as when you're young, or is it outside of work?
I found the parallel when I owned the home. I built everything with my hands,
Oh yeah.
and everything. I ripped the floors, ripped the walls, ripped the paint, you name it. I just built and I planted. So it's almost like you're giving what you're giving your as, and I built the fence with my hands. And I'm
Mm.
talking not the electric saw, I'm talking hand saw, like that's weeks worth of work. And it was so cricket and everything, but they loved it. There's an essence, there's so much love in
Naturalness.
it.
Hmm.
Yes, there's something so vintage and rocky and rough and like, but still, it's like a good old vintage record that you place and then you hear the cracking of the sound and it's not perfect, which makes it really full of love and energy that you put into
Hmm.
that work.
Hmm.
And I found that, and that what made that actually interesting is that now I feel like I can make a house. I can build the house with my hands, and that's the power that comes out of it, right? So because now I know how to put the roof, and I'll figure it out anyway. And if it collapses, I'll figure out another way.
Mhm.
Hopefully, it won't collapse on me. But work that I'm doing right now when it comes to the physical body is like I know everything that I carry as an energy, it will not be able to sustain unless I have the healthy body. And the
Yeah.
healthy body started when I was 4, 5, and
And
it
do you,
just carries.
yeah. And do you remember offhand what your sphere of radiance is?
You mean out of hand, but I can look at it.
Because it speaks to
Um,
health too. I'm just curious.
9, which is so shadow is inertia, determination, and invincibility.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's related.
Yeah.
It's like you're determined to complete the fence, be damned if it's straight or not. And then it has like that style that comes with it. And yeah, it's unique. Like you were talking about music, and it reminds me of like a live album.
Mm,
Like it just has an essence of that night and all the stuff that comes with it. And yeah.
yeah. And yeah, exactly. It's that imagination is like, ah, all right, so let's go to this one. Whenever you compromise, you are settling for second best. And so you can never fully enjoy what you do in life. And there's this one part of it that says that once you tap into your genius, or it's as contagious. So, sorry. So the compromise is as contagious as the gift of it as well. The
Hmm.
if you compromise your own self and your genius of it, like it's almost gonna just spread as a disease if
Yeah.
you don't follow it. And I found that was so powerful.
Yeah, that is super powerful. And it reminds me of, have you felt that there's tests of compromise?
In life,
Yeah. So like
non-stop, non-stop.
so like it's like levels to it too, you know? So if Carly's on my mind, my wife, because she never had boundaries growing up and she's learning to set boundaries. And she starts setting boundaries with people and it's working, it's going well. And then there's like some new situation that comes up and it's harder, it's not as clear, it's harder to set the boundary, and there's potentially more consequences either way if she decides to. And then she'll kind of get stuck and I have to remind her, I'm like, there's levels to this. You will get to a point, the tests become so huge, it feels like you might be annihilated if you do it, if you misstep. But the universe is just asking you, do you want this boundary? Like, is this good here? Like let me bring it another step, another stage, expand it out. So
Mm.
in that sense of being like contagious between people, I also think it's contagious in the stages of life that we're developing in.
How do you decide?
Decide what?
How do you know what is compromise? What is the healthy compromise versus the one that actually goes against you?
That
Yeah.
would be situation specific. But if you have a loss of enthusiasm, not just about that situation, but in more like what's the word? Like it seeps into your whole being, you know? Or if you made a decision, you're like, okay, this is the way the world works. I'll go along with it. And the next day you're just kind of flat. You're kind of just the
Mm.
I think that's a key of
Do you think it's like sits in the body, energetic body? Don't think physical, just think energetic body. Does it sit somewhere and it gets like triggered or wakes up and falls asleep and wakes up and falls on and off, on and off, on and off?
like the enthusiasm or
That like you have like compromise, right? So we can maybe feel it as one energy entity, but there's a healthy side of it and unhealthy side of it. So we have to now figure out and be aware of, wait a minute, this is now, it feels unhealthy versus it feels good. Knowing that it won't be good forever all the time,
Yeah.
knowing that the once it gets good, it doesn't really save you forever. It's always going to come back and forth testing you. But how do you know what your compromise is actually? Well, everything is a lesson anyway. It always comes down to, but no matter what you choose, you
Yeah.
still choose right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and that's
Mm.
maybe we should take some time to just shine a light on that for people that aren't there yet. Because you have a framing over like an overview that the universe has your back.
Mm.
But if someone doesn't have that, or like maybe not explicitly understanding it, but maybe as a shadow aspect, like I can say the universe has my back, but because of these actions I'm doing, I'm not fully believing it. And one of those
Mm.
is I made a mistake. I have regrets. I shouldn't have done that. So if you're in that space, you can just recognize, just have awareness that where you're at comes down to that root that you don't trust that everything is working out and will work out for you. And then addressing that first, because making decisions from that place, you're essentially compromising the ability of harmony to work in your like everything to work in your favor as it does.
Mm.
I'm kind
And
of
where is the, I know we can go from here, but where
opening.
is it? This is one last question because I keep like reminding myself to this one thing. Where is this fear coming from?
Yeah, genetic memory potentially mixed with personal memory, a trauma response.
Fear of survival,
Yeah,
fear of death.
fear of death. Yeah, fear that you won't have the next meal, or and these are fears that have helped distant ancestors, and in some ways it helps us too. But it's interesting when you step into trust, that deep trust, and knowing all of that fear you can look back on, or you can look at and forgive yourself for being so scared because you realize how much you limited potentials. Because what in a way you're accepting death could happen. It's okay.
Mm. Do you find only when you ask these questions and you're taking a next step in question, you like if you dare to ask the questions and answer them honestly for yourself, then you're kind of coming back to the same exact thing. Release of the fear. It's almost like backwards way to release the fear that comes in by just asking this question. Where is it coming from? What am I losing?
Mhm.
Right? And like really hardcore questions we almost never ask ourselves. We're just like, careful, protect, 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 fight, fight, fight.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool
Yeah.
to just like, meet someone that you're associated with and just be like, how are you trusting the universe today? Or are you? And just like, just crack people open. I don't know if it's appropriate all the time, but
They'll be like, you're crazy. Bye.
Mhm.
uh,
Do you
um,
do you want to touch on prosperity as it connects?
just, oh, you mean like the second? Wait, the gift? Wait,
Well, it just talks about finally compromise cannot bring you prosperity because it makes you a follower rather than a creator.
yeah.
So with having this as your spiritual your SQ and it being related to prosperity, how does this show up where you have a reflection where you notice it, or have you in a way moved so far beyond the compromise that your life already feels fully prosperous and you don't have to like work at it? Because in a way, you're kind of saying that unless we ask these deep questions, we don't eliminate the fear or release it. So just
Mm.
on a personal level, do you feel like you're in a prosperous state most of the time?
Prosperity is never a goal, not in my case. And I almost feel as I grow older, it's less and less something I want to just acquire. Right. And it always comes down to coming, like, I just, material stuff. I call it logistics of life. So when I had this incident last week with my car, it's a car getting totaled. I don't have a car. And okay, but that's just the logistics of life. And you just have to deal with that. And there's no questions, right? So it's not so much heavy. Like you can lose, I don't need this couch if I really look at it. The TV I didn't turn on for 2 years. It's just logistics. And I'm thinking I need to donate it to the gym. Maybe someone else will use it because it just sits here. I don't really need it. And less these things. And I'm like, I really want the matter of the heart, which is I come to it. And more I come to it, there is this like feeling of melancholy. And there's this feeling of like, this stays with me no matter logistics, no matter where on a part of the planet I am or where I'm going. The soul, when I speak from my heart, it often comes out, and I almost feel like the energies in my environment or community that I'm surrounded with want to blend in with me, right? It almost wants to kind of attach because that contagious way. But it's only when I speak my truth. And we talked about this in the fifth or sixth gift key. It's like when we speak our own truth, it's almost like a melody that everybody wants to hear, but they don't, it doesn't matter the words, it's the tone of the voice that comes out if you're communicating in that way. If I hug you and I really put attention to why am I hugging you, not asking anything in return, rather than just being, the hug becomes a minute, a 2 minute, a 3 minute. And it shifts something. And it just feels like a little click. But prosperity comes out of it, right? So I cannot monetize or materialize the prosperity that came out of my this way of showing my heart, which is my soul, which is my spirit. I can't I can't even put it in a form or in the pocket. So I think what they mean by this prosperity is the abundance in energetic level, which is completely out of earth, right? So it almost feels so rich and juicy when you are sharing your truth, but not seeking anything in return for it.
Yes.
And I don't get into this space often, right? So, but I notice them when they happen. I almost wanna, the moment it finishes, I almost forgot what happened, right? So it's almost like I wanna get out of here. I don't want anything. Don't tell me, like, stop complimenting me. Like, I don't know what to do with it, right? So I don't need it. But it's gifted back in return because ultimately you're not seeking anything from it, right? So it's never a target, it's never a goal, it's never a measure. It just happens. And it only happens when you feel safe, when you feel free. And it does happen from some parts of the depth, from the heart, from this energetic heart space. And you know, like I can be extra happy and jump in the gym, and everybody wants to jump, and I was like, I'm jumping on a coach, and I'm literally flying from here all the way, and I'm flying, he's catching me, and that's one moment, but it was the blast of the joy that I had, and I had to share with someone, and I'm not asking anything in return. I don't even know his name, example, right? But and also can be just simply calling someone and seeing them without sharing the melancholy to them,
Hmm.
just being two separate existence that is, there's no, I don't know how to explain. It's just very money, prosperity, abundance of the physicality and logistics in life. It's completely different thing rather than the logistics. I mean, the expansion here and the energetic heart, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. It's immaterial.
Immaterial. Of course, it
Mhm.
makes sense to you. You get everything that I'm saying. Yeah. What do you think of this as?
The prosperity part. I just want to double click on everything you said. Just a beautiful way to put it. And
Yeah.
I think too, I just want to say a word and maybe people can take it and remember it. It's focus. Your focus isn't on receiving or getting. And it's interesting because when you feel you do the right thing, there's some kind of temptation that comes up that therefore I deserve something in return. And you're kind of saying like you're not denying it. You know it's there. You're just trying to move past it quickly. You're like enough of the compliments. I'm moving on, and they come anyway.
Mhm.
What I notice is they'll come. They'll come in different ways. They'll come around you. They'll try to find you in different ways. So something with abundance I've noticed is you might have the temptation, expectation, okay, I need monetary value coming back to me or some situation to work out for me. And it shows up in a different way. Like a neighbor comes over, like for our example, and brings us like a meal or something. And it's like, oh, you don't really think about it. But then if you take a moment to pause, it's like, well, that's the abundance. Not only is it a meal, it's also someone's intention and their love behind it and creating it and serving it and offering it. And that
Yeah.
has more impact and it speaks to the immaterial much more than the actual food that's right there, just as an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. That stays with us. That's what expands us and helps us evolve. There was this recent, just from last week, there was this one training that I attended, and she said something so profoundly. And it goes, if I give you the advice, what I want from you, because there's two parts of you, right? So the true coach will not give you any advice, actually. Will want you to be powerful, and it will come out. So help you get this out of you. If I give you the advice and I'm sitting there and I think I know better than you, automatically I want your energy. I want My
Mm,
ego wants to feel better because I'm smarter. I know exactly how to get you there,
mm,
right? But wait a minute. It's not me getting you there. It is you getting you there.
mm,
And that's the difference. Is like me not asking. Like I
mm,
am not in general not asking anything in return, and I'm not good at it all the time, right? But I am noticing the difference, which is the prosperity is you having your own power rather than me telling you follow me, which is I'm taking your power, and that's not prosperity.
mm,
That's us. That's not that energetic prosperity that we're talking about here. We're talking there's nothing bigger, better, and more abundant than you finding it on your own.
mm. Wow.
No more giving advices to anybody.
I'm thinking of there's a men's leader, this guy from Maui, I think. And he gave a talk and it's recorded on YouTube and I watched it. it's all these men in a circle and they're in nature. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna open up questions now. He kind of just gave a speech and then he opened up questions. And the first three people that asked questions, he's like, well, what is it? What is it that you want? He came back so forcefully and strong, and just having them define to a point instead of like being like softball question, okay, here's your answer, let's move on. He dug into each person's question, and it was like at first I'm like, whoa, this isn't very warm, but he's actually like extremely warm as you get to know him, because you get this sense, this feeling of what you're talking about, which is, I'm not here as your guru any more than the question you're asking has the answer within it.
Yeah,
So
you
let's
have
just
an answer.
take a moment and look into it and find it and pull it out. So that's, yeah. Thank you for this reflection, because uh this is relevant right now
Mm,
as as we're building out Carly's online coaching and her community and stuff.
mm,
It's we're doing it in a way of like, she is the expert and here are the answers and here are, but it's, if we can change or just be mindful and then have the tone of like, ultimately it's your choice. And we've been exploring it because it's come up. We've had, she does have the path laid out, and people can choose to follow it or not. They can choose to embody it or not. I know we're going long. This happens every time, but
as
um,
I know.
um, there's four categories of people that will, in terms of how they participate in something like a coaching or a learning. There's a combination of passive and active, negative and positive. So you can have passive negative, passive positive, or active negative, active positive. So if I give you a course and you're passive negative, you're you're probably not going to participate at all, but at best you might make a comment like, this just isn't going to work. There's no point in me putting effort in. And then the
Mm,
active negative is, nothing ever works out. This is bullshit. I'm going to prove that this doesn't work. It's like much more like, but at least there's energy behind it. That's someone where you can actually take them and bring them over to the positive side. And then passive positive is like, uh, this will work out because it usually does, and I'm okay with that, and we'll see how it goes. And then active positive is, even if this is the worst course I've ever taken, you're the worst teacher ever, I'm still going to get the most out of it. I'm going to be your best student. And I'm going to achieve the most and learn the most and become the best from it. And like, that's what you want for clients or students. And you can take the active negative people because they're so passionate about proving you wrong or making you not seem credible, and you can kind of nurture them into that positive
mm,
role, and then they become like your biggest proponents because they were non-believers and then they went through it.
mm.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost feels like it's boomerang. Like if you know how to boomerang that back at them,
Hmm.
like I would pay for a course if I get to do it, right? So it's almost like, how do I know if I follow you and your way is your own perception based on your own programming and coding and genetics and everything else, but it's not mine. I'm not you. If you
Hmm.
can help me find me, I will pay.
Yeah, it's priceless.
But for that to occur, like I think and just being human, it's a human nature to come back. We have ego, and it's not dying until we die. It's there.
Yeah.
So it's like we have to spiritualize it or whatever, but we have to figure out how and when does it trigger one or the other side, right? So how do you know you're operating under the shadow unless you're aware, unless you know the tools, and unless you educate yourself what works for you, what discharges you, shower or boxing, water, like it doesn't work for everybody the
Mhm.
same. It works
Mhm.
different, but I can never tell you what you need to do, which is why I replied on that book is like, this is my very biased way of looking at it now. 10 years later, we might meet and, share the same way of us presuming or understanding the book, but do not listen to what I have to say.
Mm. Yeah.
It's going to be you. Ah,
Beautiful. Mm.
so good. It's not that it's not that we spend so much time on shadow. I think we're so eager to talk about everything that we spend so much time in the beginning of the call, which
Yeah.
is the shadow part. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So let's touch the repressive and reactive and then move into gift.
Okay, what you got?
Okay, so impotence. The word impotent has the double connotation of applying to our sexuality, which is also deeply connected to this 14th gene key, but also our vital life energy. Sexual vibrancy and fertility in part rises and falls upon how much fulfillment we get out of our lives. Making compromises out of fear will actually deplete our fertility. Uh, yeah, so it comes back to courage, fulfillment, and having our own unique path. And it's interesting to because there is kind of an impotence crisis developing for young people with the exposure to technology, pornography. Yeah, dating culture has changed so much with dating apps and all this stuff. So it comes back to a unique path, and it's yeah, it's interesting. You can imagine someone's journey from an impotent state into a fulfilled, courageous state, and that transition that happens, and um, how that is deeply tied in with sexual vibrancy. Like you have an energy about you that just attracts.
Mm. It's numbness to life because you're following
Numbness.
everybody's plans, medicine. So here's a good story. So the tow truck comes in, picks us up, and cop is not even helping at all. Gives the paper and says, "Check this out. Bye, I'm out." And I was like, "Wait a minute. I don't know what to do. This is my first time. Who do I go to? What's in?" Like I didn't know the entire process, right? The tow truck comes in and says, "Nobody really cares anymore in California." And I was like, "What do you mean? Everybody's on something, driving, being numb in life." And this is exactly what the compromise to me meant in that point is like, oh, so just because everybody is doing it, you think it will help you too in many ways. Now, nobody's drinking coffee. It's the hot thing to just drink tea. And I'm like, but why is everybody not drinking coffee? It's like you just feel this wave and everybody likes to follow and compromise what they truly want. And I was like, I really want my morning coffee.
Yeah.
I feel like a flower blooming in the springtime. It's I can't even tell you. I can write songs about it. It's like so blah for me.
Mm.
And um impotency, or when you're like reactive or repressive nature of it, like it's I almost feel these two natures come like the bottom of the shadow. If the bottom of the shadow exists, like you push it so much and you're forcing yourself to get down, then once you enter this chamber of repression or reactivity, you turn into an explosion, some sort
Hmm.
of like it has to get out. It's either rage or anger, or it's like deep depressive state. And it's just yeah, it's like powerful states. I don't know how do you get out of the bottom chambers of the pyramid to the top to see the light
Yeah, that's a good
unless
question.
something hits you.
Yeah. Well, I think when you're in a state of numbness, for speaking on the repressive, like how, oh, that's tough. Because it seems like the majority of people are numb. And So it's not like something comes in and hits you because you're too numb to even like it might be trying to, but you're too numb to see it or feel it or recognize it.
Do you think this is how we kill the soul slowly? If we can kill the soul?
Seems that seems to be the most effective way to do it. Yeah. Yeah, and
Ooh,
I
that
struggle right now
exhale.
because now that I set so for context for those of you listening, I told Melitha before we started, let's do 30 minutes for shadow, 30 minutes for gift, and 30 minutes for city. And then it's just hard because I think what it is because of the state of our world currently. I think there's just more relevant stories and more relevant ideas to kind of flesh out around shadow.
Agree.
I think that's what happens. But anywho,
The death of the
back to
soul.
killing of the soul. Oh, it reminds me of transhumanism, which are you familiar with the concept?
Mm-mm.
It's like it's a blending of technology and humanity. And the ideas, well, transhumanism specifically is that our humanity isn't defined by our body or our emotions, or so it's okay to modify, to change, to get Neuralink or to take take a supplement that would suppress emotions.
Mm.
So there's much like in discussing the Matrix, like I feel like Matrix and numbness kind of go together.
So
And then,
transhumanism is just a physical modality, physical modification, not
it's
so spiritual.
well, it is spiritual too. Well, it implies in a sense this death of the soul because if you take it to an extreme, there's like two outcomes. There's one which is artificial intelligence and robotics will become a part of our life and we'll integrate them and we'll exist alongside them and we'll have technologies much like our phones have be like they're shown in research that our brains have changed because of our use of technology. Um, it's like we can't escape kind of like the snowball rolling down the hill. It just gets bigger and bigger. So there's that path. And then there's another path, which is at some point, artificial intelligence becomes kind of sees humanity as a whole as like not really a nuisance and not really a bother, just kind of in the way, much like an anthill is in the way if you're going for a walk or driving a car.
Hmm.
So the idea, unless we are
Like
careful about,
solace,
yes, unless we're careful about protecting like what it means to be human, then we'll gradually allow more and more numbness, which leads to, I think, like a collective annihilation in a way. And it could just be we exist, but we're just totally turned off, totally numb. Or it
which
could,
is very present in nowadays.
yeah.
In like people simply just giving up or not finding a hope or a reason for tomorrow and just very much like automatically just going on a roll or ending earlier.
Mhm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
damn. What I thought of it is more the death of the soul, meaning is like if you don't, okay. let's go back to the book and the 14th key, the shadow. It's like your essence speaks to you all the time. And it gives you these cues and clues and kind of just rings a bell, like
Yeah, yeah.
knocks on the door very silently, somewhere there behind your whatever. Read somewhere also a long time ago that your voice is actually the right upper corner of your head. So when you hear it in the meditation, it comes out from here, from somewhere here in between. And it's very gentle. It's like a mother's voice. It's your higher self speaking to you with so much love. But how the layers that we end up putting on our eyes, on our ears, like in every single sense is getting more numb and numb. We see, we are forced to look at one thing,
Mm.
and program ourselves specifically. We react differently. Just earlier, I sent a text to the group chat, genuine, innocent text that someone in a group of 100 other women, she got really defensive. While 70 other women loved the text, she was the only one that got defensive. And it's not that I have to explain what I have to say. It's almost like this is the cue for both of us to work on, why do I feel she's defensive without knowing? Why does she think my message is attacking her, as the example, right? So her programming and my programming, the layers that we were conditioned to live our lives upon. And as many layers as there are, yeah, we're all trying to figure out how to remove the layers. But really, by the time you remove it, do you ever get to the essence? Do you ever hear what is it saying every morning when you wake up, or maybe once a month, or maybe through a ritual for full moon or new moon ritual that you have, or maybe when you're in your cycle, maybe when you're walking down the beach, maybe when you have those moments of inhaling so deeply that your portal opens already and you're in a complete silence through meditation or through everything. Your voice speaks. We compromise by just listening to what others are doing, so we feel that we belong, or we feel we're part of the something. Or I don't know, we don't use the plastic bags in California because we want a global warming, and we want to save everyone and every entire planet. Like, which voice are you listening? And if you're not listening to yours, can you feel your soul dying, or feeling more alive and wanting more of life? And consecutively or consequentially, do you go through the seasons of both sides of it? Because you
And
can't just be happy or be, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, just for clarity's sake, the two sides are numbness and aliveness.
Your soul's desire to live
Mm.
and your soul's desire to not live.
Ooh. Mm. Your soul's desire to not live?
Your essence, your pearl,
Yeah.
that we compromise, that's this, what is the your competence, your integrity, who you are, your voice from 0 to 7,
Mm.
your hands,
Yeah.
your creation, your imagination. Does it flower, or is it just getting layered and layered and layered with numbness and numbness and numbness and transhumanism?
Mm. It's a very good question.
Scary to even think it's possible to go either way.
Yeah, and my intuition tells me that there is both simultaneously, and it kind of they play off of each other in a way. Like, it's not an accident that we're in this technological explosion. And I think it also coincides with more and more beings achieving civic states and achieving gifts and waking up. It's almost like the mass of humanity had to experience numbness and sleepiness and compromise so that a few initially could break through and share, and it catches on like wildfire. Hope, you know, obviously, hopefully that everyone can capture it at some point.
or just a sip from the straw a little
Right.
bit. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's all you need from the CD state, someone or
Hmm.
something that achieved the CD state,
Hmm.
just to be in their presence. Whew. Does this feel complete now for Shadow?
Yeah. Unless you have something for reactive
Mm.
being enslaved, trying
You
to,
can touch this.
yeah, it's, I'll just read a little bit. These people react by trying to prove themselves. This is a classic pattern in the world today. We see people working hard in jobs that are not really right for them. In an attempt to prove to themselves and others that they are special, these people are enslaved to their own need for recognition.
Oh.
Such people are merely pretending to be powerful in life. If you provoke them, they will soon show their insecurity through their rage. True power is only concerned with the job at hand. Ah, I was hearing something or reading something recently, and it was speaking on as you become more deepened into your essence, into your soul, you exist only for the moment and like the task that's in front of you, and you lose kind of this overhanging memory,
Mm.
which which memory we can equate to the ego.
Mm.
So this speaks to that. It's like if we're so wrapped up in our story and recognition of our story, then our memories are so important to us. But in the moment, it's just a task. You kind of forget who you are, much like when we're doing this podcast. It's like
Mm.
I come out of it and I'll look around. I'm like, oh, this is my home. Okay, I have kids. I have.
Yeah, same. Oh, I love that. I love what you just said because that's what it is. There's nothing in the moment, but yet there's everything in it. Nothing, no stories, but everything that you only get to experience at that right moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not every opportunity comes back twice. Not every person walks into your life twice. Not every change is the same second time, third time, fifth time. Not every calling is the same every time that you get the calling. Everything is unique to that moment. Everything
Hmm.
that crosses your path, your mind, your soul, it touches you on a very deep level is unique. And that chance only exists then. That chance. Different time, different chance, different opportunity.
Hmm.
This makes me want to cry
Yeah.
because we miss so many of those
Yeah.
because of the stories. You're right.
Yeah. It's interesting in meditation, we're discovering our center. For some, it's the center in your heart or your solar plexus or in your head or above your head. And it's like this centering anchors you in the moment as obviously everything changes constantly around you. And it's like this deepening internal view. And I haven't experienced it, but I've heard if you go deep enough, it explodes out. So it's like you feel going in, maybe smaller, 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 more definitive, more specific until it explodes out. All of a sudden, everything, everywhere, all at once.
I mean, yeah, there's a part of me that believes all will explode to nothing, which is the end of it all. But we'll speak. I think this is CD state as well for the bounteousness or whatever.
Yeah.
But the ending, there is the ending to the soul as well, and the death of the soul doesn't need to mean something so bad either.
Right. Death of the soul doesn't mean.
It's bad.
What's your
We
higher
might
belief? What's framing it?
we might evolve into something else that we can't even comprehend. All we know is just the soul exists. But there might be who knows how many stages of it.
Hmm.
Bam.
Damn. That's where we jump into Blavatsky from there.
Oh gosh, I can't wait. Whew.
Okay, I'll ask you a question for the gift, and then I'm gonna fill up my water here.
Okay.
Okay.
The gift competence.
Yes. Can you share a story of someone who embodies this gift? Or it could be a
Okay.
personal story.
So I'm just gonna outline 4 keys that will get anybody to competence or that makes the competence the gift. Efficiency, enthusiasm, flair, and flexibility. And just to read it out, it says the 4 keys to material success. Efficiency, because it finds the quickest and simplest solution at any obstacle along its path. Enthusiastic, because it's deeply fulfilled by what it does. It has its flair because it's doing something in a matter that no one else can. And it's flexible because it can be applied to any sphere of human enterprise imaginable. By
Hmm.
itself, it's the quality of the person that does what it loves doing, which is the pearl.
Hmm.
And I don't have the living well, okay, I don't have the living example, but I have the dead people's examples that carry over the mastery throughout decades and centuries later. Shakespeare, just to give you one example, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And in the middle of war and revolution and the need to work for the kings and make them politically savvy. So Napoleon doesn't need to win, or the French guy, I'm maybe mixing the history of it, but he left the family in order to pursue his creative writing. And his masterpieces came in his most difficult times of his life when all these layers of wars, of politics, of religion, of killing, or all these layers that were upon him, he created the masterpieces of characters in love and death.
Hmm.
Love that you can experience but can't have. Romeo and Juliet. That everybody resonates to this day too.
Hmm.
That's the mastery. And to me, it's like the gift that you experience is that when you tap into doing what you absolutely enjoy doing and you're searching for yourself in it. And what comes out is really not for you, it's for others.
Yeah, and
That
you don't
was,
you don't seek recognition.
yeah, Luciano Pavarotti. Well, maybe wrong example because
Oh
he was a little bit
yeah.
of
Yeah.
egomaniac. Andrea Bocelli and his son, the blind man. Maria Callas, opera singer, who died out of a broken heart, but yet carried over the best pieces in opera music.
Hmm.
Uh, just to name a few. I don't know, maybe Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, who may be Da Vinci as gay, his own self portrait.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Do you know someone who embodies this gift?
Hmm.
And it's not even asking for material.
What's that?
It's not even asking for material success.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the flare piece, I think is easy to identify. Um, the the trickiest part of it for the four keys is flexible, where I think Shakespeare has it, but I'm not sure like the sculptors, I don't know. I guess it's more of a state of being and not really the the work. It's like the state they're in doing as they're creating these masterpieces, not necessarily the work itself, where the work points to it,
Mm.
you know. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
very
You mean
interesting.
the state of aspects of self?
Yes, yeah.
Hmm. Rather than work, kids, school, job, these logistical aspects of life. To be flexible, to move.
Yeah, to be lateral, to
Yeah.
be confident means to be able to think both logically and laterally whenever needed.
Mm.
Um, you spontaneously switch between creativity and receptivity. At the same time as acting, this gift is simultaneously listening and responding to its environment. This is so tricky because it's it's like you have masters that we each recognize in different spheres of work, whether it's music, art, sculpting, to name a few. And we each recognize them for different reasons. But they aren't masters just because of the creativity that they inherently had and they brought to it because of the story that they had. Because often these people are traumatized and that led to a level of honing in and like really focusing and learning as much as can, but also like the receptivity and the openness. And
Mm-hmm.
I think of Nikola Tesla because he speaks to these ideas that would just come in, and he was very aware that thoughts, for the most part, were not his own. They were not something that he had claim to. They would come in from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we spoke about this before, um, but it's interesting through history. You can see inventions that came up in different spots across the world. Like there'd be a European that would invent something, and then an American or someone in Asia in the
Mm-hmm.
same exact year. It's like a level of collective consciousness where they were receptive enough in that moment to receive it, while also having the mastery to put it into practice.
Yeah, it's almost like they're pulling from the collective above the CD level, if possible. Isn't this what Richard did as well with this download? They
Mm.
came as
Yeah.
program that was already full program, A to
Yeah.
Z, completed.
It's pretty iconic that this is like the fire in the belly is the kind of
Mm.
the slogan here for the gift. And he said he spent 9 months, I think, doing self belly massage for like an hour or two each morning. Nine
Yeah.
months. And then after that is when the download came through. So it's like he was preparing his vessel to be receptive in this way.
This reminds me of the Kundalini.
Hmm.
Here's the concept, the recent concept that I discovered of Kundalini is like as it awakens through your body, it's the energy that flows. And if it hits the blockage, then it's gonna hit the blockage, hit the blockage, hit the blockage until it kind of forces you to unravel and unlayer um, a lot of stuff in that chakra. So if
Hmm.
your heart is blocked, it's just gonna keep hitting you and hitting you and hitting you and hitting you. It's like banging the head of it. The snake is banging the head, telling you, pay attention, and the less you pay attention, the harder it bangs because it wants to flow through
Mhm.
your body.
Yeah.
And these blockages really are so maybe his solar plexus, interesting that he's talking about the solar plexus, maybe because there was blockage, and solar plexus is related to the childhood or whatever trauma carried over, essential trauma, right, from ancestors. But it's the belly. This is the belly fire that reminds me of the Kundalini awakening, that he wants to awaken, but once it sleeps dormant until there is a time or it gets triggered to awaken, and you can't stop it. You have to kind of work through it.
Hmm.
I feel like mine is banging on my heart right now because my heart chest is like totally closed. Actually, with guns blazing. Yeah, true.
Hmm. Yeah, I heard something as I was doing research for the 14th. I watched a video on it, and she said, as we begin this journey, whether it's gene keys or human design or just self-inquiry, contemplation, it's about 7 years that it takes to fully translate into our body. And it aligns with the theory that our cells in our body replenish fully every 7 years.
Hmm.
So, although I've heard Kundalini awakenings can be spontaneous and full, but maybe that doesn't necessarily mean if you have a Kundalini awakening where it fully, you feel fully connected. There probably is like a descension process and then integration where it kind of like expands out through your body, and it's
Mm.
just going to take that time to develop and for you to experience the full meaning of what has happened. Much
Yeah,
like if you did ayahuasca or a medicine retreat, like you experience so much in a short period of time, it takes months and months to integrate, if not years, to integrate that.
yeah. There's a lot of forced Kundalini awakening almost. It's like not forced, but almost like pre-programmed. And I want it now and I want to work in it rather than actually simultaneously reawakening on its own through your life path. Like how you simultaneously reawaken your gene keys too. It don't happen all at once. You have to go through the cycles and you have to go through the sequences. But it's interesting how much we humans want to speed up the natural process of evolution. We want it now. We want to do it now. And we want to be the one to do it rather than everybody's already doing it. It's
Yeah.
already relax, chill.
Yeah. Which
That's
is
what's happening.
beautiful. It speaks to enlightened people saying that if they're asked, like, can you tell if someone's enlightened or not? I think the true masters will say everybody is enlightened.
Yeah.
It's not like a stage. It's not like a point.
Yeah. There's no competition.
It's not the end of the song. It's the song playing itself.
It's amoeba.
Mm.
Oh, you want to go get water? I'm
Yeah.
concerned you're thirsty. Okay.
You got something
Want me
to,
to pause? I don't need to
well, maybe I
pause.
can put you on something. It's not going to take me too long. Um, so in the second page here, if I think you have the same book as me, 99.
Hmm.
It it's pairing with the gift of style. Do you want to just speak on that real quick?
Sure. But I mean, style. Oh, I see. The eighth gift of style.
Yeah. So it's speaking on
Okay.
how competence has a unique approach to everything. To be competent in something is to innovate new and exciting ways of tackling things on the material plane.
Yeah. I mean, you can go on. Well, I'll
Okay,
wait.
I'll be
I
back.
have a lot to say on this.
Okay.
Oh, to be okay, so competence has the unique approach to everything. To be competent in something is to innovate new and exciting ways of tackling things on the material plane. The 14th gift also respects the unique and individual style and input of others. These people have real flair. They are not afraid of doing things in their own unique way, even though it may never have been seen or done before. I can totally speak on these. I'm not saying I'm the most unique person, but I will tell you this feels natural to not follow. And it almost feels like I'm born with it, like I have two hands. I don't know any other way. If you ask me to follow the group or follow the birds together, 56 of them, I would probably either be the first or the last or way on the other side. It comes naturally. But there's a lot of challenges because the programming and layering is really what is opposing naturalness of it. And this is very much the product of the environment that we live in. And I still have it. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I hurt someone? Is this like how is somebody going to react to whatever art that comes out, right? Especially because now everybody can see it. Now you walk down the street and you are literally proud to be scanned left and right, top to bottom, by everybody, no matter the age, no matter the gender, no matter what. Story. Me and my partner were at the it was just like glamping. It was a camping, but somewhere there in Arizona in a canyon, I think what's it called, Antelope Canyon, and we didn't really. We were normal, right? Meaning is that we were not really like showing off in PDA and everything. We were normal, grabbing coffee, just being like next to each other. Didn't really grab our hands or anything. There's this child. There's this girl, cutest girl ever, and she might be 4. I don't know at what age you actually start thinking and talking to a sentence. Is it 4 or 5? 3?
Everybody's different, but yeah, 3 to 5.
And she comes in and says, "Are you two together? That's really weird." And we're like, "Oh, wait, first of all, you don't know what you're asking. This is your parents." It's like I'm saying you were getting scanned left and right by everything. So even if you want to be unique or if you want to wear a pink suit and have a beard, right? So to that's the unique expression. And doesn't matter the gender, but you will be judged no matter what if you stand out. So standing out comes naturally. What is the battle that I think the gift what is the battle that this gift can actually has to battle all the time is really coming back to, but this is still me. Coming back to, but this is still me. You can freaking hate me. You can laugh at me, ridicule me, and bully me. You do you. This is still me. That part is really hard to come back. And I think if we lived in the environment or environment around is supportive or that community is very supportive, is that that's really in the end that's all you need, a supportive structure, supportive other or others in order for your uniqueness and gift to come to bloom. But yeah, it's very interesting. Go ahead, what you got to say?
Mm, yeah, there's a lot there. What's I think this becomes like, what do I want to say? I want to speak to like social media in a way because now we have access to, we can put anything we want out, whether it's our voice or our character or our opinions. And it's like inviting in the world of judgment, potential judgment.
Mhm.
And it's so tricky to navigate. So to give you context here, Carly just recently opened a TikTok and was like, I'll just share whatever it comes up. So she was at the park with the kids and she noticed across the street that the Salvation Army was handing out Little Caesars pizza to people that were in need. And she just made a video of her vase and zoomed in and she said, um, I'm shocked that they're giving out pizza because it's not really food. And that was the message she gave. and it blew up. And she had, I think, 800 comments, and they were like horrible comments. People just hating on
Wow.
her. And it was just like it just shook her, and I was like feeling protective and wanting to, help. And it was just she was like, "Eric, I it reopened me to the possibility that people are so mean." Because there was just a lot of assumptions being thrown, and a lot of, like, most people didn't watch the full thing. Like the average view was like 11%, but then there's like so many comments that were just, and then just people just assuming the worst. And then
Yeah.
going into her other videos and saying mean things there. And I was like, well, this is like, it's a bit like the reality of social media and what's possible, both positive and negative, became real, like with one video. Um,
Hmm.
and I kind of lost where I was going with that. I was just gonna piggyback.
She lost her
Oh,
uniqueness or
yeah,
something
it's
like
like and then now she's like, okay, I'm gonna refocus on just one platform, which is YouTube, where she does more. It's just purely educational. And whereas TikTok, it was a little bit kind of entertainment, you know. And it's a little bit like she got lost, it kind of tripped her up, and she had a tough day that day. And then, like you're saying, you go back to who you are and your own uniqueness, and you can judge me if you want. I think I think the danger with um the age of technology that we're in is the level of exposure is so much greater, because she could say that opinion to a group, even if she was speaking to like a group of 50 people, and they could be like, your opinion sucks, it's horrible, and then she can respond.
yeah.
And there could be there could be some conversation, but maybe they still don't like her, and she can carry on and be like, well, that didn't go well, that wasn't good. But this is like a level of, you know when do you get to share like a opinion you had at the park with 10,000 people? And it's just
Yeah.
interesting, because it's so much harder to say from that. It's so much harder to come back to say, well, I'm unique and you can judge me if you want. It's like she's practiced that her whole life. She's really good at it. And then the scale of it, I think, just rocked her, just shook her a little bit.
I bet. I can only imagine. It's like it almost catapults you to another unknown fear of having so many energies being sent to you that
Hmm.
now you have to defend from,
Hmm.
because there is a relationship to it that you have. And it can fire back, thinking, you don't even know these people. How can they have so much power over me? Like, but they do. But
Yeah.
I also see it as almost, this is the chance, this is the opportunity to see exactly, to learn that layer of boundaries, setting up the
Hmm.
boundaries, reevaluating what you stand for, and are you standing for truly strongly, and kind of tweaking on your side. I mean, easy said and done. I've never had that experience. I know people who did go viral that scar them for a good, like, and just added that unknown layer that now you have to deal with anywhere else you go, rather than just on TikTok or social media. It's powerful. What saddens me is that people do not see, assume bad right away. They
Yeah.
assume bad right away. They don't assume, they don't even know your story, but yeah, they're so quick. Many people, especially, it's visible and it's very obvious that they're all very quick to release this negative energy because they live in the shadows already. If you can think it,
Hmm.
you live it.
Yeah.
You know how you and I went, and it's like at some point we went through some of the keys and said, if you're in a gift, you can't even see the shadow. You don't feel the shadow. You can't do one or the other. It's almost like you're tapping here or you're tapping here. If you can think it, if you can assume the bad, then you live it on your
Hmm.
own.
Yes, and one quote that I love that came up with this was, "Sick people can't make healthy decisions."
Mm.
So in that context, like she touched a trigger for people, which is um I'm guessing poverty, homelessness, but also for some people, I think it's their love of food, like the emotional side of eating. And for a
Hmm.
lot of people that just like pizza, like they're offended. And from her perspective, she's, it's like, no, I've studied this, I've looked at it, I've looked at the food, and it is making you sick. It is killing you. It is making you addicted. So that's her perspective. But instead of asking for the perspective or trying to get clarity or maybe saying, "Hey, I don't agree with your opinion. I'd love to share more with you. Can I message you? Like, can we get together?" Like sick people won't talk like that. They're not, or if you're stuck in the shadow, you're
Yeah.
incapable of seeing a healthy way to go about it. So you do what comes natural to you in that
Let
sense.
me let me add a layer to it. I'm just gonna tell you something. As you speak, I'm craving pizza.
Oh,
I'm not joking, and I don't eat pizza. And I'm like, there's my body intelligence that is reacting to this story right now, which is who knows what programming. I'm dying for cheese right now, just pizza. Isn't that weird?
yeah.
But it's the awareness actually of what are you reacting to and where is it coming from that makes you healthy. If you are fucking
Yes.
aware of your words and your energy, then you will never say it. So it's that blindfold, it's that curtain that we live in because it's the layered. It's exactly this key of um the shadow. The shadow is so prominent. Compromise. You're compromising if you're following everyone else's lead.
Yeah.
And if you're following everyone else's lead, you're literally layered, and the curtains are so thick you don't see yourself, and you're not aware of what are you saying. What are you actually feeling? What is this trigger? What am I getting triggered? You're saying she's saying it's bad, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to make pizza, right? But I am aware of what is happening, and of course I'm not gonna eat it. I'm making the choice, but my body is reacting to it, and my brain is thinking immediately, oh, I can just stop by quickly here. There's a pizza place right under. But you see, it's the awareness of it. How do
Hmm.
we make people aware of their own choices? It
Yeah.
is not just me tossing the ball in your field. You deal with it. Now my frustration is in your field, but that's not how we do things. That's not how we're supposed to do things, I guess. Deal with your own shit, man.
Yeah.
If you can't make someone's day better, just don't do anything. That's better than doing something.
Yeah.
You
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
and there's one last thing. You and I are also putting ourselves out there, which can come with this as well.
Yeah, and it brought up some good time to just feel some collective pain,
Mm.
which is that's what it felt like to me. It was like, wow, these people are really hurting in so many ways. And the only sense of relief they have is in like a sense of camaraderie. Like we have to fight for our mm,
Survival.
yeah, I guess survival is like the ego self surviving. And for some people, they're like, you've never been starving. You don't know what it's like. These people just want to eat something. And she's like, everyone that took a slice of pizza was overweight or obese. Like it's not about starving in that sense. And also it's just a critique on the way things are. And it just deeply triggered people. So it just showed to me like, we're in this world of when we get together, we talk about gene keys and I live in Hawaii and it's a beautiful place and people are very like centered, grounded for the most part. There's a lot of peace here and there's some trouble for sure, but we don't get to experience it firsthand. And then in the sense of now that we're putting ourselves out here, and it's interesting because before we started doing this course, I had a dream and Carly was really nervous to go swimming in the ocean. And I said, I said, go swim. You're meant to go swim with the whales. You're meant to go swim with the whales. And when I woke up, I told her, I'm like, you're meant to go swim with the whales. I told her about the dream. And somewhere in the back of my head now, like looking back, I'm like, I set her up for this moment because she was nervous to get out there and swim because it's bringing in all this attention. But in reality, like we're attaching to our story and feeling offended by it or feeling hurt by it, when in reality, it's just collective energy that's being manifested through people's opinions that are being shared online. It's there whether we experience it or not. So in a way, it's a gift in learning more about the state of the world and where things are and how people view themselves and how people view their relationship um with everything. So
Wow.
yeah.
You don't know until you try.
Yeah.
Good for her, actually. You know, that she went through it. And now it's another part of her that she discovered that she needs to nurture too,
Yeah.
and really love and learn and reconnect with and everything. It's like, it's what are the chances everybody can go through this in some point of their life, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and it gives me some compassion for the people that are famous because I think they deal with this on a daily basis. Um, and I've heard so many creators are like, I don't read comments anymore. It's horrible.
Mm,
Like even people that are on neutral topics, like electric vehicles, like somewhat neutral. They're like,
no.
it's horrible. They get horrible comments constantly. I'm like, what?
Mm.
Yeah.
But it thickens the layer and your skin, but it also thickens, it kind of almost like forces you to close off and just seek the safety in you rather than sharing it with the community. If we can bridge that gap to regardless share,
Yeah.
um, it's like you have so much gifts. We all have the gifts to share, all. And I have a hope that people will change to supportive way rather than, like judging way. And it doesn't feel, this is what I'm going through the schooling is that you project onto another your own insecurities. So if I'm saying anything, I'm only speaking what it is that I need to be seen, to be validated, to go whatever, like whatever is city, whatever setting that it's unknown for individual is very much the reaction that they will put out there in the world. So it's powerful. It's so much energy in one place, channeled destructively rather than creatively.
Yeah. It's a very interesting phenomenon. And
Mm.
yeah, just reframing it to be grateful for the
Eric,
opportunity.
for Eric,
Yeah.
and being turning into a protector.
Yeah.
Oh, she's lucky. Can I just read one thing that it's related to this? It says the 14th gift, which is the competence, has another latent power of attraction.
Hmm.
Competence creates a powerful magnetic field that not only draws into the right support, but it also has the ability to magnetize material wealth. Once you have attained the gift frequency, the tendency is for consciousness to keep expanding. I really like this because it's like, yeah, you will attract in general, but when you're operating on your gift and if you're operating on your true inner power, and we should not stop for it to come out because you will attract all kinds. But what we need to learn is who to pay attention to, the
Yes.
like to
Yeah.
like, right? The supportive part of it. Out of 800, I bet 400 were supportive, right? Or had the same opinion or didn't even voice anything. And sometimes when you're
Yeah.
supporting, you're really supporting in silence. And I
Hmm.
find that often on social media too. If I don't react to it, that doesn't mean I'm not in supportive mode for you. That means I enjoy that you don't know. That's the part. What you can feel is that energy. If we can filter out and feel the energetic pull towards it, you will eventually attract the people that are coming your way to fully support you without asking anything. And really, your soul, your tribe,
Yeah.
not soul, just the tribe on earth. And this speaks to how we met. Again, we didn't even know each other, but yet we somehow support each other, right? So it's like, yeah, we disagree on many levels, but it doesn't mean
Do we?
that we don't, I don't know, but it doesn't mean we find a way to support, right? Because if I can't support you, then I don't want to be around, right? So next,
Yeah.
you know, we're not on the same frequency, and that's where that frequency comes in. When you tap into your gifts, you really elevate your frequency. And a lot of people, I have the visual. The visual is literally the line, which is the earth or this realm, the third, you name it. I don't know which one is it, right? The line, and you're literally getting attraction from the fourth or the next level, and then you're getting attraction from the bottom layer of it. So you kind of blend between the upper and the lower, or the next step and the step before, right? So you're blending into it. Of course you're going to attract both sides. It's the matter of which way you're headed, which way you turn towards, right? Or what you want to really pay attention to, and where do you put your focus to it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully said. Hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. And lastly, for the gift, flexibility. You cannot be rigid and competent at the same time. Competence is the working aura of someone who loves the material work they are involved in, whether that be in the office or at home in the family. Mothers, in particular, who have the 14th gift, can create all the dynamics within a family for spiritual, emotional, and material prosperity. Oh, so good. There's like an innate flexibility that mothers have to have to exist as a mother because there's so much pressure and there's so much that's being asked of them constantly that to rise to that level, you have to just, you know, in one sense, you become a punching bag, and then the next moment, you become a chef, and the next moment, you
Mm.
become the nanny, and the next moment, you become a teacher, and the next moment, you become just an emotional support system. Yeah, it's
You don't think that's happening for fathers?
oh, I think it can happen for fathers, but there's a different level of pressure that's on Carly than what's on me. It's like and someone has done a study somewhere where they came up with a number. It's just a figure, and maybe it's wrong, but I read it and was like, maybe this is true. And it was kids behave 1,000 times worse in the presence of their mother than their father. And I was like, that seems
Why?
extreme. But I was like, what if it's true?
Mm.
And then just allowing space for that to be true, I noticed behaviors ramped up when Carly's home or they don't let her put them down or they don't let her do this or they're always arguing with her. And I think the figure of 1,000 times is like compounded because of the level of ask that's required, the level of like give me attention, nurture, warmth, comfort, support
Mm.
is constant and varying in so many different ways. Whereas as a dad, I can put my foot down or I can tell them no, and there might be a battle, but it's usually responded to differently
Mm.
because your mother, mother or matre in Latin, which refers to the matrix, the thing that upholds you, the thing that you return to when this is all
Mm.
done. So it's just this sense of when they ask for something or manipulate to get something and they don't get it or it can't be given in that moment, there's a level of uh, emotional pain that comes with it that isn't there if even if we say the exact same words in the same way.
Wow. It reminded me on the mantra as the cosmic womb,
Yeah.
that feeling of belonging to something that was so familiar between the two bodies, the one body that created another body,
Hmm.
the water in the
Yes.
stomach
Hmm.
for the 9 months, the feeling of safety and the universe itself in the water, in the entire process of conceiving.
Hmm.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Do you think that that makes it mother more sacrificial?
Yeah, of course.
Oof, we can go on this for a long time now. And patriarchy, how did we end up here? Like, oh, like you want to buy that ticket for that train because it's speeding up real fast. Oh, gosh. Okay.
Should we jump into the city?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. While you were reading, just that the flexibility and the mother, while you were reading the top of the last of the flexibility, I actually looked down for the one sentence as you were talking about the Carly, and it says, the moment you activate the 14th gift, you release a certain aroma through your DNA that soon makes you the backbone and mainstay of any family or team. So mothers have aroma, and that
Hmm.
aroma is not the smell of the body odor. It's rather than that like remembrance of essence of the universe, which
Hmm.
is hard to say no to. And as a child, is it innocence? It's like they attach, they have to attach to. It's like mothers can read between, read them telepathically. How
Yeah.
does a baby who is crying say it doesn't know how to speak rather than just cries? How does a mother know what to do every time? Feed them, change them, nurture them, hug them.
Yeah.
Let's honor Carly, our
And
girl.
and all mothers.
Yeah, that's all mothers.
Uh
Okay,
yeah. I guess tangentially, this just came up, so I'm just gonna address it real quick. Um, my mom was deeply traumatized, and um, I think when we started this podcast, I had a medicine journey in sickness where I was sick and I was like, okay, I'll do medicine because what am I gonna do? Just laying here. Where I embodied an experience of her trauma, and it just shook me. Like it just took a lot, and it was like eye-opening on so many levels of what she went through. Because I heard what she went through, and was kind of like, oh, okay. I think it was so profound, the level of trauma, that I couldn't comprehend it in the moment because it needed to be experienced. So I experienced it, and then maybe a week after, I shared with my mom, hey, this happened to me, and I experienced it, and it was profound. It was so much pain, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. And she's not someone who's like spiritual in any way, really. Um, and she numbs a lot, as most of us do. But I think it was last month, she just sent me a text and was like, I'm sorry for not being better when you were younger and being more present. I was doing the best I could. And you may not think it, but I was really trying my best to provide you a safe environment.
how does it feel?
it's heavy, super heavy. And there's a lightness in hearing her say those words or write them that feels like she experienced some relief on, in some level to be able to share it because I think it's I think it's at the level of, for most people at a young age when they go through trauma, you have to make sense. You may have to make sense of it in some way. And I think the way she made sense of it was that it was her fault. So in like recognizing that I saw her in it and that it was horrible and that it was like, yeah, I felt like she, became lighter and kind of
Same.
seen and helped lift her a little bit out of the shadow because ultimately when we're in shadow states, we're not seen as a shadow. So it was like a really cool moment and painful in some way, but also like really profound because I when I started this spiritual path for myself, I never imagined that we would have my mom and I would have that kind of conversation, even if it's just text. And wow. But a biggest I think one of the biggest components of it was I've tried to be more active in the past in like addressing things with her and trying to like move her through things. But the message I got in experiencing it was, no, this is not for you to go and do anything
Mm.
with. This is for you to experience because you have genetic memory, you carry this, you and like and you've somehow put out the resonance that you're ready for it. So here it is for you. And I think when I reached out to her, I came with that tone of like, I experienced it, I'm sorry. It was just that. Um, it wasn't like let's talk more, let's get into it. And I think it just gave her space. Um, and maybe I'm taking too much credit, but uh I'm just grateful. It was really beautiful.
You're feeling the process.
Yeah.
And if you're profoundly feeling it into your body and your body's reacting to it through your tears, it's like there's profound healing for you too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think at some point we were talking about generational trauma and you were like, great grandma, I don't need that from you. Like you deal with your own shit.
Wait in line.
But on the other level of it, there's a level of healing I experienced because it was like an inner knowing that that pain was transferred somehow instead of being a victim to my trauma, like I was emotionally neglected. It was recognizing a deep, like pulling the thread a little bit, like recognizing the deeper root of my trauma and taking ownership of it. And that was one of the hardest things I had to do because I'm used to, hey, I figured this out. Let me share it and get a pat on the back. And this was just, no, this is just for you to feel pain for now. Yeah. And I'm hearing layers of what are you doing sharing this now? What does your ego want from sharing it? But I'm happy that I'm crying because I think it's another layer of processing.
Yeah. And you're sharing your incompetence right now, if not even in the CD, because it wants to speak and you're honoring it at that time when it wants to say something
Mm.
because there's a feeling of it. And you know, we know nothing comes coincidental. We just stop it. We stop these expressions. We stop them because we think we're doing it wrong, or we think we're going to get judged or projected into it. But what you just did is show the way, the harder way that makes everything easier.
Yeah.
Hey, almost like when we see our mothers and we tell them this while they're here, that's the real gold. You feel lighter, she feels lighter. When they're not here and we try to reach them telepathically in another state, and almost like we don't, let's not miss the chance to do this while they're here.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve to know, and almost like their ego deserves to know too, to settle down a little bit and not protect them that much.
Mm.
Deserves They deserve to breathe
Mm.
without the weight that they carry throughout their life, because no parent is perfect. Oh, it's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Mm.
Don't trim this out of the video. I think it's very powerful.
Uh, for now, I don't trim anything, so we'll see how that goes.
Until we go viral, and then oh, can I just add something to it?
Uh-huh.
What I felt is your energy as you were talking about it, and I embodied it. Like your frequency was contagious, where this is your truth, and no matter how painful and joyful it is, you end up being the same at the same time. But I felt your energy on this side, even though we are across the ocean. It's like it's contagious
Mm.
because it's so truthful, because it's so innocent, because it's so free.
Mm.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah,
Okay. Man, Eric, this is 2 hours already.
I know. I was looking.
Uh, we really never have time to speak on CDs that much, but I mean, hence we didn't really talk for a month and a half, so this is understandable. Okay, so I do you want to kick in, or do you want me to start with this?
You got it.
All right, so I really like how I understood CDs on a different level after I read this CD, which is Bounteousness. So before he even went into Bounteousness, he explained how CDs work. And
Yeah.
I really like that. You know, that's where that layer of the next level that we don't really know. We only think soul exists forever, but what if a soul dies?
Yeah.
And then there must be another layer of the soul their soul reaches. Why not? We don't really think that far after, behind the horizon, because having an enlightened soul is the end of goal. But what if that end of goal is just the end of that space that we inhabit, or end of that realm, or end of that dimension? And there's so much more, so much more. So the way he explains the CD is very much amoeba with one membrane, one nucleus, and nothing else. Reaching any CD state is just that, reaching the CD state. But amoeba itself is so simple, so nothing, but yet it created entire humanity. It's the base for the entire creation of every single living cell on this planet right now as we speak. What if reaching the CD state is exactly that? So he's saying that's what it is. He uses eukaryote. I don't even know how to pronounce this, but
You carry out.
eukaryote, such as amoeba, um, that they don't really know anything, nor want anything, nor are aware, nor have any consciousness, but yet are the building blocks for the entire entire living creatures.
Hmm.
So is every CD. What do you have to say on this? I put three big hearts around this.
It's really profound and mm, so just to piggyback, because it's easier to use the words that he's written than to try to formulate some of my own here. Naturally, human awareness continues. So stating like we go to this simplest state. Human awareness continues, but it works mechanically and only when called upon by outside stimulus.
Mm.
Hmm. And he also speaks a little bit about the being becomes like a vacuum and it drives the ego right out of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really beautiful, really profound in contemplating this state of trust. I think it would be like beyond trust. It'd be beyond any concept where your being becomes like a vacuum and you, yeah, like you said, you're just waiting for, you're not waiting. It's just you responding or called upon by outside stimulus is when yeah, you react mechanically. It doesn't, like when you think of a guru or like an enlightened soul or someone that is in a city state, like my first impression would be um, really knowledgeable, really experienced, lots of wisdom, but this doesn't point to that.
Mm-mm.
The paradox of achieving this state is in eliminating the self.
The paradox of achieving the state is eliminating all the states,
Hmm.
all of them. Okay, so how I understood this was all the layers that through all 64 keys, and each has three layers: shadow, gift, and CD. All of it is just amoeba. All of it is just nothing. All of it is eventually going to disappear,
Mhm.
but be a base of next level that we can't even tap into because we still are living at the bottom of the amoeba level. Yeah, the DNA, it almost goes, it's so going right back to the amoeba, all of the immeasurable genetic history of the evolutionary life on this planet has to be erased from our DNA. It has to become nothing.
Yeah.
And achieving the CDs as the collective will get us right back to nothing
Yeah.
in order for us to evolve to another something.
Hmm. Yeah, it's beautiful and it reminds me of the city of forgiveness, eliminating the past. True forgiveness is forgetting. It's just there's there isn't anything to carry forward. It's just this moment.
Yeah. Don't you wish this come naturally?
Do
I
I wish
always have to, yeah. Why is this order not reversed? Why are we not born into cities?
what a question. Um,
Just came out, and I'm thinking exactly what did I just ask?
yeah, I'm it was tempting to throw the question away, but I'm trying to actually answer it. What if we were born with cities manifested?
Oh, even better. What if our shadows are already the previous cities?
That makes me glad to not know that reality.
The previous one.
If the previous city was compromised, I'm like, okay, we're doing pretty good then. Um, the it's so close to asking what is the meaning of life. It's so close to it, that question. Like, why aren't we born in the cities? Can you feel that same energy?
Yeah, because there's no answer. So you end up accepting it as is.
Hmm.
It's just a mind fuck.
Yeah.
This is a perfect recipe of how you tap back into your shadow.
How so?
Because your mind is asking questions that there should never be an answer. Your heart knows the answer. The answer is always is.
Hmm.
It is what it is.
And you're saying the mind wants to then compromise to come up with something to attach to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's its role. We have mind for a reason, right? It's easy to
Right?
forgive it.
Right?
All right, which one? What else do you got for?
Yeah. Um, so he talks about genetic instruction and how it's the alphabet that underlies the behavior of all humans, and how clearly the instructions are followed depends upon the frequency of the vehicle and its chemistry. At the shadow level, there is a great deal of background noise to interfere with the instructions. This background noise comes from your past and the collective genetic past stored within your cells. This is actually the answer to your question.
The life purpose is living in all three, or maybe
Just that we haven't perfected the vehicle yet. We're part of a greater, uh, like a vector toward the truth.
yeah.
And it's an experience to be had, and it's one that takes place in time. So here we are.
We're maybe a level 87. At least we're not zero. Good work, humanity.
He says,
Earthlings.
as we move toward the gift, the noise diminishes as you begin to live less from your own past and more within each moment. However, even at this level, the collective genetic memory still remains as an unconscious, subtle conditioning element influencing your behavior. At the true citic level, all trace of personal and genetic history has to be burned from your body. This is no small matter. Oh my God. Oh, I'm feeling
Scary.
this.
Has to be burned from your body.
Yeah, burned.
We're all
Because we
gonna
have,
burn in hell. I was just kidding.
yeah, because we carry the collective memory of every human who has come before.
Yeah.
That's why. It's a process of purging and burning that is immense. It's like,
And we're all doing it.
uh-huh.
Even the homeless,
Yeah.
even the ones that are shitting on social media for someone else. Even the good ones, even the bad ones. There's no bad ones. Everybody's doing their own evolution and purge on their own way.
Hmm.
Does it make you lose hope or gives you hope that we're all doing our work? Big work. This is heavy lift.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely don't lose hope. Um, it's interesting though, because hope is a concept too. So like if I'm kind of meditatingly entering into the state of mind or no mind of the amoeba,
Mm,
then it's neither hope nor hopelessness. And I think what's coming up for me right now is, Eric, it's great that you can experience the cities, but you weren't called to this podcast to just um, sit in silence for like the city section for 30 minutes. So provide some level of contemplative awareness where we talk through ideas.
mm.
Because the temptation when I get to cities is to just sit and do nothing. Because it's like great spaciousness I feel when we dive in. It's like
Yeah,
beautiful, just empty and yeah.
you're right. The energy changes. We talk slower.
Hmm.
We give words in between space. We put the space, we think, we move away, we resource around. It's like it's such a different energy because it's such a delicate. We're almost like concerned or worried or careful not to ruin it with our words. And we always laugh about it, if you notice, even though it's
Yeah.
only 15 minutes that we have something to say out of
Yeah.
30 minutes. So it's like, it's so joyful. We're always at that laughing
Yeah.
or joking.
Mm.
Mm. So, how about this? It is not us that matter. There is no us. There's only the Siddhic programming to create more and more abundance in every direction and at every level of consciousness. That is the true definition of consciousness. I tapped right into it and I was like, this doesn't make sense. There must be more. Wait a minute. Okay, let me retract. It's illness that mhm. Likewise, we humans, complex though we like to think ourselves, are akin to single-celled organisms within a far greater body. We are merely building blocks for a higher life. And in that sense, we are utterly expandable. It is not
Mm.
us that matter. There's no us. There's only the CD programming to create more and more abundance in every direction and at every level of consciousness. This is the true definition of consciousness. To me, this means we're already doing collectively everything that we know at that time, at this moment,
Yeah.
everything that we know. But you and I just spending 2.5 hours on this podcast, it's almost like there's so much energy being exchanged and it feels good. There's no payout for it, but yet it feels good. That's it. And
Hmm.
abundant.
Yeah. Uh, and to add to that, it's a permanent state in which all humans take the helm together, a state in which individual power and collective power become one and the same. Yeah.
This is why we have nothing to say and see this
Yeah.
because it's
It's
already
challenging.
it's already said everything in the sentence.
Hmm. It's amazing that he gets 2 or 3 pages out of the download that he had. But whatever he received, like we really fleshed it out from us. Like he takes you from a level of understanding and he works through it. Um, yeah. Oh, just feels good.
Yeah. Coming back, there's a new way of clapping.
Fingertips. This is the old poetry.
Oh,
The hip,
really?
yeah, like poetry or hippies.
Oh, really?
Clicking. Clicking, yeah.
Oh,
Tapping is a little different.
yeah, it's a gay thing. I learned this last weekend.
Oh. So
This was awesome.
yeah. It's like um when we're at our best, or maybe it's me, when I'm open enough, these talks are an emotional, they always take me on a journey.
But is it is it because it triggers something, or it kind of allows you space to feel it, whatever that comes, because we never know what's coming.
Yeah.
Never ever.
It's it's the space. And speaking of which, I used Chat GPT to come up with some questions, like some prompts, and
Oh,
I didn't use it at all because I forgot how this goes.
you mean you asked ChatGPT to come up with the questions for this podcast, for this
Yeah, I was like, come up with some
recording?
talking points for us, and it did a great job, and then I didn't use any of them. So,
Oh my God. And that's the difference between transhumanism and actual soul search, you know? It's like no matter what gets exchanged, in the end, you can't replace the uniqueness that we come with. No way.
oh,
To have a space to actually be able to allow it to express is everything.
mhm.
Everything. Okay, last one. Hear this and tell me what you think or feel.
Okay.
Whenever you talk to someone, coach someone, or receive coaching from someone, often if you feel or know that you know better than the other, and even when you're not trying to give advice, you're really seeking something from it if you're speaking from the ego. No matter how good your advice is, if you want the reflection from them back, then there is an exchange of the energy. Whenever you end up finishing the conversation with someone, energy exchange, if you feel tired, it's the ego play. That was the power battle. If you feel rested, then the energy was untapped, meaning I didn't take any of your energy. I didn't leech onto you, nor you leached onto me. How do you feel after our conversations? Tired?
Oh, no, no, I always feel high, which I feel sorry for you because it's 8:30 at night, so you're probably wired.
No, no, I never feel tired.
Yeah.
So we don't leech on each other's energy no matter what. We don't leech, or it's not the energy. I don't want your energy. I want you to keep your power.
Hmm.
And it's so cool to know this one thing. It's like when I feel exhausted, even if I'm teaching or even if I'm learning from someone, that means one or the other way the energy just drained you, or I took all your energy. And I can, even if I take all your energy, I'm still exhausted because it's not mine.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good reminder.
Oh, child. Okay. All right. We'll close. It's 8:30, 2.5 hours later. This will be a long one. Thank you so much. Lots of love. And thank you. This is so good.
Mm.
This is better than a good meal. I'm not even hungry, but I do still want that pizza.
You can make a healthy pizza.
Healthy pizza. Hug Carly and hug kids. We'll talk soon.
Yep. She sends her love too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.